I'd like to call to order the Hampstead Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Tonight is Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. May we have a roll call, please?
Sharon Callahan.
Here.
Lou Conyer.
Here.
Charlie Obermeyer.
Here.
Deborah Painter and Barb Yeager are absent.
Thank you. All persons are reminded that this session is being recorded on tape as required by law for the preservation of records and are asked when providing comment to give their name and address. All persons in attendance are requested to print their name and address and affiliation on the sign-in sheet which is at the front door. Public is advised, I'm doing this in reverse, that there may be members of the Hampstead Town Council present and in attendance at the meeting. And we first on the agenda is the minutes approval of the March 27th meeting, regular commission meeting. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so approved. Zoning administrator update, please.
All right, we got four things to talk about. I'm going to talked about tonight. Antietam Broadband, they're finishing up their first section of town, which is the Westwood Park, Shiloh Run, and Brandywine Station developments. Antietam's contractor, actually today, they started installation in Oakmont Green and Oakmont Overlook. After they finish that area, then they'll move into North Carroll Farms. It's going rather smoothly so far. Really haven't had any major issues besides right in your neighborhood up in on Wellesley. We had one little cracked sidewalk and one pole where the light pole, the wire was cut, but I think they've both been corrected. Antietam, they're projecting to be able to provide services to homes in the fall. Weiss Gas and Go will have a Board of Zoning Appeals hearing next week on May 2nd. They are seeking the board's approval of a conditional use to operate a gas station in the general business district. They're looking to put in a Weiss Gas and Go in the Robertsfield Shopping Center right next to the Farmers and Merchants Bank. Tractor Supply Company. They recently submitted their concept site plan to the county for their proposed store in Hampstead. They are looking to construct the store on the empty lot just north of Greenmount Station and just north of the Almost Family Daycare. I'll imagine that they'll be introducing the concept plan to this commission at the May P&Z meeting. And then lastly, before our next meeting, will be the Saturday, May 18th, Hampstead Day. Once again, Main Street will be closed from Mott Avenue to Reineman Avenue from approximately 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. The actual Hampstead Day festivities go from 8 a.m. to 3, and this year it is the 50th Hampstead Day.
Wow.
So it's got a long history. So, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, approval of a zoning certificate, the Hampstead Grain Mill, 4041 Gill Avenue.
Dan?
Okay, so we have a
Tell you what, once you come on.
and my address is 7909 Green Spring Avenue.
Come on over here.
Okay. All right, I got a few. All right, perfect. Hey, everybody. Okay, so we have in an application to do some painting, install some new windows, and we have some drawings associated with it. We went through a couple different color options, so I did look at a couple different colors. This is the one that we personally like the best, but it's could be open to suggestions also.
Okay.
And this is the same color scheme that was previously approved for the round silo bins behind the property. So we felt like if everything matched, it would come together pretty well.
Were the silo bins going to be blue? That was your intent, to make them blue like the building? Okay,
Yeah,
'cause
so that was
I'm looking at
approved the
these.
previous meeting
Okay, okay.
for the same gray and the blue scheme.
Yeah, I just got a little confused when I looked at them because when you look in these renderings, they actually have the silos in the gray. So,
Okay.
but they are, you're still looking into them in the blue.
So yeah, they're currently blue. I haven't driven by there.
No.
No,
But they were approved, but never
we haven't
painted
painted them yet.
to that approval. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask some questions?
Sure.
If you don't mind. I'm partial to blue, but blue skies, blue in the flower garden, and things like that. I also love history, historic buildings. And I drove by the mill the other day on purpose so I could see it
Okay.
with everything you've taken off of it, which was all the stuff that was added onto it over the years. I absolutely love it. I was so happy to see it look like it's supposed to look. A question I had was about the blue.
Okay.
You're not married to that?
I'm not necessarily married to that. That just was something after doing a few different revisions, that's what we liked.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a gray and a red color scheme, and I actually have a photograph of it, but we just didn't think it looked as good. We just started coloring it in, so it's actually the same, it looks similar to your train station, so we did have a rendering of it, but we just didn't find it as appealing as.
Oh, that's good, because I need to say this, that Barb Yeager reached out to me at 5:30, let me know that she had a personal issue come up and she wasn't going to make it tonight. And she also said, also for what it's worth, I'm not a fan of the blue in the apartment building. Something more neutral or complementary to the station would be more appropriate. Could you share these thoughts with the commission? So that's good.
But we're open to it, but I did explore a couple different revisions, and if anyone wanted to see them, I'm happy to show them.
I mean, when I look at the train station next door, which is a historic building, of
Yeah.
course, and you see the color of the train station, and then you look at the mill and the proposal for the blue, and I was picturing this next to that. And I know they're different, but they're still from the same period, so to speak. And I wondered how would it look to do it gray and,
Well, it's very interesting you say that, because once I got Barb's text, I printed out a couple pictures of the train station. So you can see that the train station is predominantly
Gray.
and red. So
Yeah, and
it's actually fairly close to that, if you want to show it.
The architect did that. That was his first thing when he came through, and we just didn't.
Yeah.
So we didn't color the whole building,
Yeah.
but we did do like just some coloring so we could see what it would look like if we did that, and we weren't. But it's something to.
something.
Actually, I mean, I know that's not a completed drawing, but I kind of like the different contrast of the white with the red, so it's not just kind of this one big, all one color.
This in.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you? So
Yeah,
it's a little bit, like, there's a little bit of, because of the different elements of the building, they're a little bit different color. I actually kind of like the incomplete one, where there's some white, there's some red,
Yeah,
there's
you're
some
right,
gray,
yeah.
and
but if you take
more
that, just
expensive
take
to-
that,
paint, but.
and then you look at this, and I recognize, I think I don't understand, they're two different buildings, but history is history. And if you could find a way to color that, I mean, this is predominantly gray, with some orange or red, whichever you're gonna call it. Looks like a barn red to me, or whatever
They were
it's called.
trying to get similar to this, but like a brick. That's kind of like a brick red.
Okay.
They were thinking. So they were trying to get close to it. Just it didn't.
Yeah, I've seen
What do you
shades are
think?
A little different. Just something we did.
Yeah, I think the all blue is a little much, but again, I bet it's.
There's this, like, I
It
don't
meets
know
the
what this
code,
is,
I'm
this
saying, so
like,
it's ultimately his decision, but if he's open for suggestions.
What?
this like
suggestions
tower
only,
thing.
right?
That is the, I think,
Yeah.
the elevator.
So that like big blue thing in the middle makes it just look like a lot. So even if that was just contrasting to the rest and more, even if that just went to all
If we
gray,
could-
that might look a little different.
Hey, Dan, they've got some comments for you.
So what are you thinking?
But I'm not married. Like whatever you guys.
I think this is like the elevator tower here.
Yeah.
Like all of this just together, and I know this is also just like an architectural rendering, so it's not, and I know these also come across much more, like bam in your face because there's nothing else around it except for white copy paper. But like, it's still going to kind of look like that, obviously, because the building's a lot bigger. And I just looking at that contrasting picture, like even if this elevator tower here could be the gray or something contrasting, and maybe the blue goes to a red, or maybe the predominant color is gray with the accents the blue, and then I actually like the towers being the blue because that kind of sets it apart, and I think it all kind of ties together. So that's just my opinion. I'm not a color specialist, but this all blue and just the gray just seems a little.
He was very industrial is what when I first looked at it. right? I get it, it was a mill, but now it looks like a factory, right? But, you know, again, this is just more suggestions, and if you're open to it,
I'm open.
if the cost is the same to paint it, you know,
Sharon?
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Yes, sir.
I have a little interest in.
Excuse me, could you say your name, please? And
Wayne Thomas, 1100 South Main Street.
thank you.
Former owner of the mill. I was thinking about the possibility of reversing it, where it's blue, gray, and where it's gray, blue. Or,
I did have a version of the elevator tower in
So-
a gray.
so on the elevator tower, it's gonna make a suggestion. You see how these are two-tone?
Yep.
And so you make the outside corners on the tower be the same way. Whatever color this corner is, that's what color you make that corner. So it looks like it's been there,
Oh, that's a good idea.
you know, so it matches. Just so you know what I'm talking about. So right here, you have this corner, all the corners of the building are gonna be whatever that color is.
I see.
I'm suggesting you make the corner of the elevator tower the same way, same color. Okay, whatever color you pick.
It'd be easy enough to do.
And of course, I'm partial to the colors of the train station, so if you use gray, try to match that. And it's a darker red than I think what you were showing there. You're showing more like a brick red, and that's actually a darker red. So,
Yeah, they were trying to get it close on their,
Yeah.
on the computer screen.
hard to do that.
And even this blue looks lighter than the actual, like, we painted out this blue before, and it actually looks more of like a grayish blue. Like, sort of like the second page.
Like this
That
one?
looks a little bit more closer to it.
Do we have the paint colors of those gray and red? I mean, it's
Dan does have them, did you?
all over town, right? Yeah.
Swatches.
Yeah.
So that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering, like, maybe on the side of, I don't know if it's allowed, but like a lot of times when I do different projects and I'm up in the air on paint colors, I'll paint out maybe a sample section. And
That
maybe
might
I
be
could paint out like 2 or 3 sample sections and then see if everyone has a chance to make some comments, maybe on the side of the building or the back of the building. And we could see 2 or like, you know, an option with the gray and the red and maybe the
And the blue.
1 or 2 options if that would be allowed, and I can paint it back, whatever we don't like.
yeah, I just wouldn't want to hold up your overall
I was
schedule,
thinking
right?
that,
So I don't know, you know, again, we're trying to get more housing available in town, so as long as it meets with your schedule and you've got some play there, I'd say sure. I just don't know, look at the gym for advice here as
I
far
was
as
just thinking the same
getting
thing.
colors that you have to
So-
get authorized for, because you applied for these 2 specific colors, the gray and the
Correct.
blue.
And I'm not sure about his timeline, but I can inform the commission that the plan is still in a simplified site plan review with the county. Additionally, before the apartments can be occupied, a larger water main and water meter is required for the building. We're getting ready to order the water meter probably in the next week, but that's a 6-month delay to get it. So we have a little.
So we
bit of
have time.
We do have
A month
some
or so,
time.
you know.
We gotta, as long as it's not holding up any of
And
the
there's also-
forward motion with the permits, but we have time to figure out the color scheme.
And this is on here, but is this something we even look at as the new windows as per plan? Because obviously that's something that.
Well,
we
that's
have an
on,
issue, right?
this is
But-
accurate depiction of the windows, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's to scale, so that
Yeah.
would be, if there's a problem with the windows would potentially hold up, but the color wouldn't.
Yeah. So,
But that was what was in the building permit with Carroll
Carroll
County.
County, right.
But do we have to, and we don't have to approve the windows, right? That's just in here, or we do?
It is he is changing the windows, right, Wayne?
Yeah.
God, I hope so.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, yes. Are
It
the
says-
positions all the same?
The positions are the same, but
Okay, well then, no, you
We
do
don't,
not.
that's why I just
Yeah.
wanted to clarify, because that would be something we could obviously move forward with without issue,
Yeah.
and we could, you know.
Actually, the technical-
Yeah, and it says install new windows as per
That's why I was
plan.
wondering
you're
if that's
just
something
covered,
we
okay.
needed
Yeah.
to vote on, but.
All right,
I think we're,
In some cases.
yeah, there's a couple that we're opening up
yes.
that have been previously closed.
Okay, so you're fine with,
Which you'd see some of the openings that are just boarded.
right. No, so it all comes down to the colors. If you would want to paint a couple sample areas along the back of the building and keep them rather small.
Okay.
And what we can do is we can either go out there as a group schedule, what would have to be an open meeting and go there as a group, or
Right.
members of the commission could go there individually and view them, and then we can discuss them at the May Planning and Zoning meeting. Would that be?
That
Yeah,
sounds,
that works for me.
that sounds reasonable to me,
Rather than
yeah.
try to coordinate an outing and make it all.
Right.
I think individually go
Yep.
would be.
I will let
better.
you know, or you let me know when it's ready for viewing, and I will let the commission know.
And,
The other thing that I would ask is, possibly, I don't think it would be that difficult, to basically have some different renderings when you come next month in the different colors, like one with the blue, one with the red, yep.
the samples in?
Yep,
I
yep.
can do that,
That
that's
would,
easy.
that would be perfect, and then we'll have
That would be
good
great.
base to work from for you guys to come to a decision in May.
It's such a wonderful building and a great project you're doing. It's very exciting. And we do need the housing for people, so we surely don't want to hold it up, but we sure want it to be the best it can be for you and for the community.
And we don't want to rush through the color either. And so I'll do a couple samples, and then I'll let you know
Yep.
once it's ready. And then after, we'll get rid of whatever ones we don't like
Yep.
Okay,
quickly.
good.
So it doesn't look like a blob.
Yes, Wayne?
Define backside, you said paint the backside, we're talking about the train station side, we're talking about the back of the mill?
Back of
Side of
the
those?
side that is facing away from Gill Avenue.
Okay,
Where the driveway is.
Yeah.
along-
where the old entrance was?
Correct.
Yeah,
Facing the.
The old
Silverado.
parking lot in the back.
Yes, facing
I
Silver
want to make sure we're talking about the same back.
Yes.
Yeah, and I like Wayne's idea with the corners. That's a good, that'll help it tie together, I
Yeah,
think.
I think it'll make it tie real well.
Now, does anyone know the color codes for the train station?
I got it.
You do have them? Okay, so I'll get them from Wayne,
Perfect.
and I'll do samples to match.
You might get Wayne to come over there and help you.
We might even paint it.
Wayne will come paint
Okay, so I'll have it ready,
for the next meeting.
ready.
A couple weeks beforehand, so that they can see it before, come out and
Okay.
view it on their schedule at the
We'll
May.
get working on it right away.
All right.
Great.
Thank you.
And I will talk to you tomorrow about the water meter.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
See you guys
Thank
later.
you.
Thank you.
So we're going to put off the approval of the zoning certificate for the Hampstead Grain Mill.
Yep.
I'm
Till the
sorry, just as
following
a
month.
procedure then, he would have to resubmit an application?
Yeah, he will.
With the new
Yeah,
colors
he
and all
will,
that stuff?
yeah. Okay, if we're ready, we'll move along. Introduction of concept site plan, Wash X 2305 Hanover Pike.
Before you guys start, I'm just gonna go over some things that happened. This plan or this application, before anything happens with the site plan, they went and got Board of Zoning Appeals approval from the BZA in January. The board made two recommendations. The first was that a traffic study be completed. So in discussions early on with Carroll County Engineering and the number of the trips that are anticipated, a traffic review, a traffic study will need to be completed. And Andrea from Engineering with the county will reach out and you guys can work on that to be submitted. And then the other thing was, they also asked that water usage be evaluated as part of the site plan process. So, as I think I've told you all, the car wash process is going to deploy a water reclamation element, and that'll be through rainwater harvesting and water recycling. The only thing that they're gonna use town water for would be some bathrooms and possible kitchenette. I think on the site plan, did I see 15 gallons a day or something in that area was the anticipated use?
I'll have to check exactly what number we used, but it was less than one EDU because it's just gonna be for 3 employees.
Right.
I think the
Yeah.
Penn State standard states that an employee is like 15 gallons a day, so maybe 45 gallons.
Okay, yep, so it's very low. You know, it is less than a normal condo would use in a month or a quarter. So, and then they're also are applying for a permit to use a well on the property for a backup source of water in case of a drought or a dry spell. So I just wanted to let you in. That permit has to be approved by the Carroll County Health Department and the Maryland Department of the Environment. If they find that allowing this well would have any negative impact on the aquifer or the town's water system, they wouldn't sign off on the permit. So I just want to let you know that those two things were recommended by the BZA, and basically both will be included in the site plan review. All yours.
Jim, appreciate it.
Yep.
Evening, Commission. Harry Pappas, managing, I guess, 5 Deep Run Court, Cockeysville, as where I reside. I'm the managing member of WashX, and my partner, operating partner, is actually Michael Deutsch. Couldn't make it tonight, but he's a resident of Hampstead, so he is ultimately who turned us on to this growing town, and thought that our car wash concept would be a great fit for this town of Hampstead. As you guys have likely seen from the renderings, we are, well, I guess, so a little bit more history about us. WashX, we just opened our first location in Fallston, Maryland, another small town south of Bel Air. And we have some other development in that Harford County market, as well as into Cecil County. And we're looking to grow our local car wash business in these markets. In a lot of cases, some underserved markets where there hasn't been any big private equity branded car washes entering the markets. So as Mr. Rourke said, we're and as you can see from these renderings, we're attempting to repurpose the beautiful historic former bank that has been there for quite some time. We're going to use that facility as our facade. It ultimately would become a shell, but will remain as the the entrance to the tunnel of our car wash. The car wash model we're proposing is an express model concept, whereby the customer would pull in, they would have access to pay stations, and we would also try to repurpose the drive aisles where the pay stations or ATMs, teller stations currently existed for the bank, and we would put our own pay kiosks in there, and the customer would pay at those pay stations if they become members of the car wash, whereby they can pay a monthly subscription. They would be able to go, every day of the month if they desired to. But it also has technology where our cameras would recognize their license plates, so it would automatically lift the gates for them to proceed. As this layout shows, we're trying to replicate the same footprint as already existed on the site, almost identical to that, except for the one-way traffic leaving through the vacuum station area. But yeah, utilize the same footprint, and then we've obviously had to extend on the back of the stone building to complete the extension to our tunnel in the wash bay. Over to the side of that wash bay, we'll also have what will be our equipment room, and house all the equipment that runs the equipment in the wash bay. As Mr. Rourke said, we'll be utilizing the rainwater harvesting to supply as much of the water as we can to the car wash. We also use a reclaim system, so every bit of water and mud and everything else that comes off the car will drip into that wash bay, and then we'll run out into the holding tanks where it then gets processed through some centrifuge systems, and ultimately, we hope to get, 85% of that water that comes out of the wash bay recycled and used back in there. And then, obviously, would hope to have access to a well, so that if we are in a drought period, we can use that water to make up for whatever the rainwater harvesting doesn't account for. I know the town of Hampstead is sensitive to the water usage, and we are a big water user, so that is, something that the BZA, made us pay attention to, so we plan to go by, all of those recommendations and requirements, so. Tried to, per the color scheme, gray is kind of our, little bit modern / industrial look, but feel like it really goes well with the stone building. I think it currently has a red metal roof. We will plan to put a gray metal roof on there. The overhead awning, we might need to make some adjustments, or front porch cover, we might need to make some adjustments to that as well, just to better structurally reinforce it. But, again, replicating most of the same existing car wash spaces, where in each space we'll have a pair of vacuums that hang down for customers to access either side of their car to vacuum out. We'll provide microfiber towels and cleaning solutions to the customer does their own interior. So
Very good.
it's the modern brand of car washing, and we're excited to hopefully bring it to Hampstead. So.
What do you think?
Well, I think the couple of questions. So you went through the planning and zoning, and what I don't know, going back to Jim, are
Board of Zoning Appeals.
Board of Zoning
Board of
Appeals.
Zoning Appeals, sorry.
Right.
Any sort of ordinance as far as like how much noise will this property produce? You mentioned a bunch of vacuums, and of course if you have a drive-through express, I can imagine there's a certain amount of noise that it makes. You back right to the library, right, which by definition, I don't know if there are any sort of regulations in the town ordinances that speak to this at all, but wouldn't want there to be this super noisy property, right there on that corner.
And that's
right near the
something
library.
we will look at in the review.
Yeah, okay.
And we do have noise dampening. We have at the end of the tunnel, which would be closer to the library, is our blowers that dries the vehicle as it exits the tunnel, and we have noise silencing or dampeners that reduce the noise from those blowers.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, because when we do a lot of reviews of signage, right, and those that are lit especially, right, we have them regulated to a certain number of lumens, et cetera, et cetera. I just didn't know if the same applied to a business that is going to produce noise. Are there decibel levels that you must be within? So I get it, there's dampeners, but, unless there are regulations, that maybe it's a moot point. It's just one of those things to be sensitive to.
I don't think there's any definitions of noise levels in our code. There may be something in Carroll County in there. I know they just redid their noise level code. I'll check with them about that.
Okay.
Is the car wash is open 7 days a week?
It is.
I'm assuming that, and 24 hours a day?
No, we're 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay.
So after, most people, or some people are in bed,
Some people are in
Yeah.
bed, yeah. This is a quiet town.
Right, yeah, no. And, I think Tom, our civil engineer, looked at some of those. I think the closest residence is over 1,000 feet away, which was one of the,
So the closest residential, record.
If you would state your name, please.
Tom Miner, French Ward Associates, 5 South Main Street, Bel Air.
Thank you.
So the closest residence part of the BZOA approval was that we had to be at least 300 feet away from a residence. We're, I think the nearest property that's residentially zoned is 350 feet, but we're well over that when it comes to where the actual structures or the houses will be located.
Right.
And the one residence, I think, is that even, someone even residing at that building?
They are. So basically, if the closest residential district is if you would go out the back of what the car wash will be and go down to where the railroad tracks are as you enter Oakmont Green.
Yep.
As soon as you cross the tracks, that becomes residential. So that's 350 feet, 400 feet. But then as you go, it's a while up Eagle Ridge till you come to an actual house there on the left. And yes, someone does live there.
Yeah.
So that's probably 1,000 feet,
It's quite far.
yeah, to a residence.
Correct. So.
What about, I don't see it in here, I know this is still just a concept plan, but what about lighting for, obviously this time of year when it gets dark at 7:30, 8 o'clock, it's open, it's not an issue, but in the middle of the
There
winter
is
when it gets
lighting.
dark at 5, is there a lighting plan in
Yeah.
here? Is it gonna be the traditional light poles that you would see in like a, Walmart or across the street or in like a Burger King, or are each of these like little bays, I guess, are those individually
So yes,
lit?
each of these vacuum arches will have some LED strips that go up the underside of them to reflect down. Well, if, people are coming in the wintertime when it gets dark at 5, so that they can still see what they're vacuuming, or better see inside their car and illuminate the area a little bit. As far as street, or, the big reflective lighting, I don't know that we'll have much more in this area, possibly over in the drive aisles and underneath the drive aisle canopy. And I don't know what the requirements will be for
Right.
the lighting.
Yeah, historically, we haven't been putting a lot of pole lights out there
Pole
just because it's not necessary. They've done either wall packs or undermounts for the different systems. So when it comes to a lumen check or dispersion off-site, we haven't had any real issues with people to provide
No, and
that higher mount lighting system.
if I'm correct there, Tom, on page 5, it is the photometric plan,
Correct.
and that's showing the basically, this term, foot candle levels
Yep.
of the lighting. And according to this, there's 6 of the tall pole lights around the parcel. And it looks like, I guess there's 2 Cree Light Edge series that is attached to the building. Am I reading that correctly?
So yeah, so there's those lights there, and then we were showing these pole lights.
Mm-hmm.
It's debatable whether we want to actually be installing these or not. It's depending on what we get for the red lumen setups.
We have 2 pole lights at our location that we just opened in Fallston, so.
Yeah, I think there's a balance there, right? Especially with a historic building like this of not, it's obviously got to be lit, but there's such thing as overlighting, and you don't want to have it stand out like, the Charlie Brown Christmas tree in the middle of a field, so to speak. So that's just just food for thought for you guys as you go through the next steps and
And I have to
process.
check, does Hampstead have a lighting requirement? Because sometimes we do have lighting requirements for parking lots.
We do not. Well, there's something, I'll get it to you. But this is great, how you show the foot candles and how much is going to be leaving the property, and is almost zero.
Zero, yeah.
That will be coming off-site, so.
But yeah, and I'd have to check and see if you guys don't, just out of habit, we're used to having a certain amount of illumination on, so we try to show it in this sense, because if we had the other aspect, we tried to show those undermount lights, it gets real complicated.
Right,
Um,
right. And then my only other comment, I know again, this is early on, is this side of the building, and I think this rendering might not be, because it's not showing, this side here, which is up there, the 2 bottom pictures, that's where the bays are going to be, correct? So that's gonna be broken up a little bit. It just looks like a
Long.
really long, like a
Gray
ridiculous,
side.
because the one I was like, I've never seen a car wash that long, and again, it just could be because it's just up against white. There's nothing there. Is there going to be any plantings in between there, or is those bays going right up to that? If it was just to kind of break it up to kind of keep with that historical aspect of that building and not have it look like a big long pieces of siding that are.
So what we have done at our Fallston location is we had some little planters in the sidewalk where we have actually put some tall cypress trees to kind of help, one, landscape, but two, break up that long
Yeah,
wall.
you know what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
And,
like-
and we've even
Agreed, Charlie? Yeah.
debated putting, some, I forget what, like mapes, canopies or awnings that, kind of hang to break up the long.
So when we discussed that architecturally, the debate was, do we want to create, because there are also the vacuum pumps, that's why I flipped over to the rendering here. There's going to be the vacuums in there anyway, to kind of break up the facade out, or that just visual when you're looking at it. The debate was, do we want to, because a lot of times you have windows and other
was
things
gonna
kind of
say
showcasing
windows,
it, but is that going to then take away from the stone building? So do we want to kind of keep it not as noticeable in the background and then showcasing the stone in that structure, or do we want to have more, more there to, and that was the debate architecturally we were kind of having as we were kind of rolling through this. It was, do we do windows showcasing as the car wash goes through? A lot of times you can see the equipment, but then if we're doing that, then you're not noticing the building as much. So, open to input.
Yeah, I'd like to see some, because that was exactly why I think that also probably looks so elongated and just boom right there because of the stone building in the front. So it's not it doesn't look like it's tied in. It looks like you built a garage on the back end of the stone
No,
building.
when I come, if you don't mind, just
go ahead.
before I forget what I want to ask. So I'm coming to the car wash to get my car washed. I'm going to drive up towards the front of the building. I'm following the arrows, coming up to the side of the building where you pay.
Yes.
I'm assuming you're going to be driving around. Where are you entering the actual car wash?
So there's two entrances. One would be,
You mean entering the tube, that express tube, is what you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Not,
Okay.
Well,
not the
wait
parking
a-
lot itself,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
I want to know, I want to go pay. Look, I'm Sharon Callahan, Hilda housewife lady.
right?
I want to get my car washed.
Sure.
I'm going to work. I drive up to the building and I want to pay. And I'm assuming you do that first, of course.
Yep.
Pick out what I want and drive in. Where am I driving into? Right there,
So you
okay.
roll around to the front there, it has a roll-up garage door, it closes after you're done.
Right.
Yep.
And then you run through the building.
Drive through, and then you come out where I'm seeing these cars are coming out, yeah.
Right there.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Very good, okay.
Yeah, and the one comment I had, getting off of the topic that Charlie raised, was when you made a lot of points to say, oh, we're tying into the existing building, and you want to make sure that you maintain that character. And I love it, it looks great. And then you come to the vacuum things that are these neon purple, right? I mean, do you have choices in the coloring of that, or is that what?
Certainly, yeah.
Okay.
They don't have
Yeah.
to be purple.
Yeah.
We do have purple and green are our colors, but we can express them in our signage, I guess. And we do want people to know that it's a car wash, but yes, we don't have to have the purple. In fact, they're gray at our existing wash, so.
Yeah.
um,
We're just saying it just kind of, it really catches your eye. If your point is to try to maintain the integrity of the existing building there, right?
Right.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
you may as well just put, neon purple over everything, right? So
Yeah.
it's just like, if that's really the look you're going for, that, to me, when I see that purple, it does not, that look stands out like a sore thumb.
Yep, gotcha.
And if you look at the rest of the building, the old building and where the car wash actually is, it's all very neutral, it all kind of blends together.
Yep.
And you're right, Charlie, when you look over there and you see that, it's a little different, unexpected.
I mean, I appreciate the creativity that you guys are going through to just at least save the building and put a car wash through the middle of it. I didn't know that was a realistic opportunity, but
I
it's
was
not.
excited about that, I
Well, I
was.
read the minutes, I was in here last time, and I was like, that's
Yeah.
a unique concept.
There's another one in Mount Airy that's it's probably open now, but they took an old longer bank branch building, it was all brick, and did a similar thing, except they used the whole building as they just
gutted the whole thing, and that's the tunnel.
Somewhere I saw where they're doing the same thing with an old church.
Really?
So, yeah.
I've heard of churches converted to breweries.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's, real estate's more expensive these days, and
Yep.
you gotta be creative and, yeah.
Well, I think we all agree that saving that building is certainly a big plus.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of, from some feedback that we got, people in the town really liked that we were trying to do that.
Okay, any other thoughts or questions or concerns?
No?
Okay.
So we've gotten a good bit of comments back from the county. I don't know if we've gotten everything back. So far, none of them seem to be any type of showstoppers at all.
I haven't seen anything. We've talked with Andrea internally, Elizabeth and myself, and with engineering
Sure.
about the traffic study, and that's why Elizabeth reached out about getting the numbers. And so she will be in touch, or you should be getting her comments shortly.
Okay.
And then you can reach out to her with any questions about the traffic study process. And you guys got stormwater done really quick. I commend you on that.
That was very clean, and was a couple very minor things. I guess
Yes.
the one question I'll be asking you afterwards or now is, we called them up and asked them, does this mean we're good for concept, or and they said they deferred to you guys as to how you wanted us to proceed.
Okay.
Whether it was
I would prefer to see an approval letter from stormwater management. So, yeah, we would like you to resubmit.
for concept.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And the other thing I thought was interesting was from utilities, where they mentioned metering the water coming off the car wash process.
So I talked to Sean, right?
Sean.
Yes, so I talked to Sean a number of times actually about it. His actual third comment, by the way, was about the well, the property being serviced by a well.
Mhm.
That was incorrect. He was confused because he saw our proposed well.
Okay.
And he thought that we already had a well on site.
Right.
But I talked to him about it, and so I threw him every municipality's been handling it differently, how to do the water, sewer calculations, everything else, throughout the 6 different ways we currently have it being done. And he said, those are all great, and I was like, there's 6 more we could, venture into. So
Okay.
right now, the way we stood it is, we're gonna give them the information that we have, put that documentation on, or the numbers on the plans as we have them, but as we're running, because equipment's different for every car wash user, the equipment type is different, the utilization then resultantly is different. We're going to track the one we just opened, and then it's basically when we're ready for approvals, we're gonna give them that information, and then we're gonna try to see if we can get to a good, fair solution of utilization. That was kind of the end result, because it was like, he was like, you're using a lot of harvesting, you're doing a lot of that. He's like, the current numbers we have is for car washes that don't do nearly as much as what you're utilizing as far as harvesting. He's like, I just want to make sure we're fair, both for yourself and for the, the county. So
Right.
that was our conversation. It was we'll figure it out as we go through the process.
I thought it was an interesting question, because I was like, I wasn't sure, and handled 6 different ways in 6 municipalities, so.
Well, and I appreciate the fact he actually was looking at it and asking the question now, because so many times it gets asked not too late, but later in the game than you want to be thinking about
Right.
it. So good conversations that we're having right now.
Good, good. Yeah, it's off to a very smooth start as far as I know, so.
Can I ask
Yes.
one more question, and crossing my fingers, because I understand about drilling wells. What happens if you don't get water?
So we were waiting for this meeting here so that we could go drill a well. And we got to file the MB permit, obviously, but
Right.
that's going to be our really our next step, because we want to make sure that we're not going to go 8 months in, waste everyone's time, if for some reason we don't. However, I'm not really anticipating an issue, because obviously that house had a well there at some point. And it was functioning up until it hooked up into city water. So I'm not really anticipating too much. We're not going to be pulling too heavily off the well, and even when we are, based on what we're kind of seeing, even if it's during a drought period, we're going to be pulling off of it slowly. We're not going to be needing the car wash when we're utilizing the water. Each wash cycle uses somewhere between 5 to 10 gallons of fresh water. Otherwise, the rest of it gets reclaimed and goes to the whole system. The fresh water that needs to be reused is because of evaporation, carry off from the vehicles, and then a little bit of just wastewater, because you do have a certain sludge aspect that then gets,
Right.
can't be reused. So 5 to 10 gallons per wash, we're not like pulling from the well hard. So as long as there's a decent yield on the well, it's just gonna be kind of like a residence where you turn on your spigots, filling up.
Right,
5
turn it on, turn it off. Okay.
Yeah, and so, as I mentioned before, basically, we've left it in the hands of MDE and Carroll County Department of Health. Before we reached that conclusion that we would let them be the deciding factor, we did discuss it internally, and one of the people that we discussed it with was Tom Devilbliss, who Tom used to run land resource management for the county. And basically, he wrote the water chapter in the code for Carroll County. And he is very knowledgeable. He's the most knowledgeable person I know when it comes to water resources. And judging by the numbers of what they would be using, he felt it would have zero impact on the town's water or on the level of water in the aquifer. So,
One of the interesting things too that Carroll County actually pointed out to us is that deep in the MDE code, car washes are considered a hotspot, so we're not even allowed to infiltrate the water that's generated from a car wash site. So we're not doing that. We're reclaiming it all, and it's not going into the ground at all. So it was kind of an interesting, I was like, well, we're incidentally already meeting that requirement.
yeah. Yeah, so I think it's all good so far.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
Thank you.
guys.
Great, thank you guys.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, Carroll County Department of Planning update.
Good to see everyone.
Good to see you.
As like Sharon, you were saying, nice warmer weather, lighter and warmer. What could be
Yes.
better, right?
Yes, right.
So just a couple things from Carroll County. Number one, the water and sewer amendments. There was a couple amendments that went through. Board of County Commissioners is expected in May to vote on those. Also, for the housing study, the last several meetings I've been talking to you all about the upcoming housing study. In April or May is the time frame that we're going to have public outreach. We're going to have an event in this side of the county. I will let everyone know, and Jim, when we get closer, I'll email you, and if you could let the Planning Commission know. Just trying to get, as Jim has mentioned to you last month and the month before, with that AFFH, Jim's favorite word for master plans, that affirmatively furthering fair housing. We're trying to look at what the housing supply is in the county to make sure there's quality, affordable housing for county residents. So that and the economic development and land use study and a couple other studies will go help form the backbone of the upcoming master plan process that the county is embarking on. And besides that, the only other item would be the annual report, and you in Manchester get the annual reports done ASAP, so there's no problems that I need to deal with, so that's great. So thank you all, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Always good to see you.
Likewise.
Okay, other business. Rescheduling of the June 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. What's up with that?
So last month, I pointed out that the meeting was scheduled to, it coincides with the last day of the Maryland Municipal League Conference. And Deb will not be able to attend that evening. So I was, and I would have a hard time getting back from Ocean City that afternoon. We were asking if it would fit everyone's schedule, if we could move it up to June the 17th, I think it is.
19th, I think. It was the week
19th.
before,
The
Wednesday?
week before, the Wednesday before. And,
That seems okay to me.
okay, good,
Works. Yeah, we're not all here. I checked my calendar. I'm good.
okay,
Mine changes every 5 minutes. I'll check it again.
all right. I will send out an email tomorrow to the commission, just for yay or nay, just to make
Okay.
sure that it can be done. And
Sounds good.
sounds good, thank you.
Is there any public comment? Is there any other business? Quiet. Then if there's no public comment or any other business, I may have a motion for adjournment, please.
I make a motion to adjourn.
And may I have a second?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.